I wanted to first introduce you and announce our Deputy Borough President. Some of you know or have met already, Misha Smith. And I'll turn it over to her in a minute, but I just wanted to make another announcement, which is we named our borough historian to wide fair, acclaim, Harold Holzer from Hunter College, Roosevelt House specifically, and he's a Lincoln scholar. He's written 55 books, 55 books on Abraham Lincoln, more than many of us have read. Nobody in this room, but that's a lot of books. And
a lot of books on Abraham Lincoln.
About one person. So he must know Abraham Lincoln pretty well at this point. Anyhow, one of our ideas here is to elevate Lincoln's presence and history in Manhattan, including his renowned speech at Cooper Union, his draft riots, his obvious statements around the Civil War and slavery. And we think it's a really interesting and frankly, relatively under-discussed area of, civic engagement, which will be a topic later in our conversation. So we're developing some programming around Lincoln, and hopefully we'll have community board participation in that. Speaking of civic engagement, I wanted to thank the Civic Engagement Commission for their time today. Are they here physically? There they are. Hello, Civic Engagement Commission. Could you join us at the table?
Please.
And engage?
Yeah.
Thank you. And I guess we're gonna hear a presentation from you shortly. Yes, that'd be wonderful. Thank you for being here. And the final thing I'll add before I hand it over to Misha and Esther, who are going to discuss our upcoming borough convention this Sunday, February 22nd. We've been working pretty hard on it. They've been working pretty hard on it. I've just been stressing about it. We had a flag at Stonewall that the Trump administration directed be removed. And I was proud to join my elected colleagues and a lot of members of the community and allies to re-raise that flag. So that was what happened last Thursday. We've seen attacks on the LGBTQ community from this administration time and time again. As the first openly LGBTQ borough president, I do feel some responsibility here. And so we re-raised that flag, and we also went public with reports that we had from parents that their young people's gender affirming care was being stopped altogether at a number of area hospitals. Again, another directive straight from the White House, the Department of Justice, HHS, RFK Jr. Requesting or requiring hospitals to choose between either providing gender affirming care to people under 19 or the cessation of billions of dollars worth of Medicaid funding. I mean, that's a real, Sophie's choice. Which do you choose? So you've got thousands of patients here, and you have young people who are in need of not just gender affirming care, but it's really life affirming care for these people who are taking a lot of heat, criticism, bullying online, and from the White House. It's just a really sad state of affairs for trans youth right now in our country. So we're raising the alarm on that. I'm not sure what can be done in the short or even medium term, but a number of my colleagues are requesting answers from the State Department of Health about what is the protocol here? Will these kids get treatment? If it's been stopped at a number of area hospitals. So we will learn more, but I just wanted to flag that, as well as another public health situation, which is the case of Legionnaire's disease impacting both CB8 and CB9. We're again working with officials at DOH-MH, elected officials. We had a conversation about that. We want more testing in the buildings that have not tested positive for Legionnaires, just for peace of mind. At the very least, it shouldn't be that, somebody has to get sick in one of the adjacent buildings in order for the test to proceed. So we're trying to zero in on that, how we can get the other buildings tested at 3333 Broadway. And then I'll hand it over to Misha and Esther, if you don't mind, to talk briefly about our Borough Convention. And they're color coordinated and great.
Great day. Well, thank you, everyone. It's a real joy to join this team and this office and to meet all of you and work with you. I'm really looking forward to it. Just a little background on me. I was at CUNY for the last 12 years before joining this team, and specifically at Hunter College. So I know Harold well, and I know the CB well. I was the Dean of Student Life there for many years. So doing a lot of the same sort of work of taking care of community, and especially thinking about young people and their next phase and their involvement in the city. So super happy to talk about civic engagement today. But we're also really excited for Sunday. We have a great inauguration that will be happening, but on top of that, this Borough Convention where we're bringing together a ton of community members. We've gotten great feedback and attendance, and so we're super excited about that. And it's a really wonderful opportunity for us to hear directly from our community members who come to give us their ideas about what they want to see happen in the next 4 years in Manhattan. Do you want to talk a little bit more, Esther, about that?
Yeah, sure. Good morning, everyone. So I'll first note a technical thing, which is that we hit our registration cap, but we have overflow space just down the block. And we encourage all of you, if you were not able to register, to get on our wait list, and we'll let you in from our wait list. So just fill out the wait list and you are absolutely invited to be in. So that's just a note. In case you hit that wall, ignore the wall, you'll be in.
Is there, just in case, should they contact someone to?
Yeah, everyone. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's right.
You all have my information, so feel free to reach out to me if you have any issues.
And you can keep encouraging community members to join. Again, if they join the wait list, we'll let them in and we'll make sure everybody has a space either in the main theater or in the overflow space. So to give you a sense of what to expect, it's a big event. It has several different components.
How many people?
Well, we have a capacity limit of 1,000 in both the space and the overflow space, and we have registrations up the wazoo. So we'll see what.
That's a technical term?
Yeah.
It's technical.
That's how we're talking about this number.
You might have seen us on the Link NYCs for the past month or so. So to give you a sense of what to expect at this event, we'll be starting with the inauguration of our Manhattan Borough President, and we'll have some very
And our special MC.
Yes, we have a special MC, Andre DeShields. You are the first to hear it in this room. We have Broadway folks with us.
Yeah.
He's
H-Town.
really.
Yeah, that's why it's sold out.
Exactly.
He's an icon of the field, and we're really excited to have him join us. We'll have performances from the Young People's Chorus. You may know from performances at Lincoln Center. This is, I don't know if I mentioned, but it will be at Alice Tully Hall at Lincoln Center. We will have elected officials joining us, of course. We'll have a Lincoln impersonator, going back to our voting for him, Lincoln. And we have
He said actor, he would not call himself.
Oh, you know what? That's right. That's true. We'll be here. He's a serious actor who
Daniel
had.
Day-Lewis is coming.
No, Stephen Lang, who played at Lincoln in a number of performances.
Yeah, and he'll be doing an excerpt from the Cooper Union's speech, which is the speech that famously did take place in Manhattan that many people don't know about. And much more on the agenda for the inauguration. From there, we'll be ushering people out into the hall that's outside of the main stage for our Borough Convention, which we hope is really the highlight of the event. This is the opportunity for people to engage directly with our staff and with a lot of external partners in setting priorities for this office and for the borough at large. So this will be an interactive affair. We'll have some conversation tables that will be facilitated by professional facilitators, and there will be short conversations where we have the community share their priorities on a few different policy areas. We'll have some really beautiful maps that our team created in-house where people can highlight where they want a new greenery in the borough, where there should be more affordable housing, and we'll take those and digitize them and make them resources from the office, as we will with all the policy data that's coming out of this event. We'll have StoryCorps there, which does oral archiving. They're gonna speak about how they record histories in Manhattan and help people sign up to sit down and record their histories. We will have DSNY doing a recycling game, which is very exciting.
What's that?
They'll have buckets and a beautiful timer that we have sourced in-house.
Huh.
God knows well about this.
The origin of this is my 8-year-old and my 15-year-old are always arguing about what recycling goes into which pail. Now, if they can't figure it out, how are the rest of us supposed to figure it out? So we're gonna try to set the stage for a quiz on
Yeah.
what recycling goes into which bin.
Which I honestly don't think I'll pass very well,
Yeah.
so it'll be good to have
Yeah.
maybe many more in this room. We'll have musicians from the Jazz Museum. We'll have Museum of the City of New York with the gingerbread house of the Chrysler Building.
What?
A gingerbread house, Chrysler Building.
Is it edible?
It's edible, but no one can touch it. And we'll have Museum of the City of New York teaching about zoning and doing a family fun game. I could go on and on. There are several elements. It's something of a fair and a policy convening, so
Sounds like a
we hope to
carnival.
see everyone here. A very well structured and not
I'm
chaotic
clear.
carnival is the plan. We hope to see you all there. Again, if you have any hiccups in getting on the list, you all are welcome. Just contact us. And if anyone has accessibility needs, please reach out to our office, and everything is totally accessible. We just want to set it up in advance for folks.
Doors open at 12.
Doors open at 12. 1 to 2 is the inauguration. 2 to 4, I'm sure stuff will move a little bit on the day, but 2 to 4 will be the convention. So get there early and we will have refreshments.
So I just want to thank the team for, like, they have been working really nonstop to organize this, including a Borough book club that we're launching at the event and some free giveaways. So it'll be fun, I think.
It will.
And we'll be glad when it's over. But right now, it's gonna be fun. And let me, since some of our team is new here, if you don't mind, Meryl, could we just, Ben, could we just reintroduce ourselves?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. Ben Platt, Director of Intergovernmental Affairs for the Borough President's Office.
I'm Emily Bachman, I'm the Director of Land Use and.
You'll get to know Emily well.
Good to see many of you again. Jonathan Weinberg, General Counsel. I'm Andrew, and Community Liaison for Community Force 1 and 2.
Porfirio Figueroa, Deputy Director, Community Affairs, and liaison for 11 and 12.
Jennifer Barnes Valenciaga, I am the CAU intern and also the creator and developer of the LGBTQ resource guide.
Robert Rivera, I'm Community Liaison for City 5 and 6.
Thank you, team.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The other thing, if I can, Borough President, I think,
Yes.
wanting to highlight our Black History Month event.
Yes, we're having a,
Okay, because I was about to say,
well, this is something that we organized.
not funny at all.
Oh, no. We have
Two
two,
was the last thing on the list.
no,
No.
we have two Black History Month events. One is we are working with an artist named Sanford Biggers, who's a great contemporary artist in Manhattan. We're hoping to get his work displayed in the Maggie Nathan Art Gallery, which is right outside of his doors. So we'll have a reception to launch that. And secondly, we're working with Studio Museum of Harlem, which has had this enormous capital renovation that many of us, including I, have not yet seen. So to launch that very impactful and really historic new building, we're inviting the community for a free admission event in honor of Black History Month. It will be on this
Next week.
Next, what, do we have the date?
I think it's next Saturday, we're just reconfirming.
Okay, it'll be on Saturday, and do we have a time? It's not here.
It's
No, I think
actually,
they're.
it's actually gonna be mostly all day.
Okay.
For free admission, so we are covering free admission to the Studio Museum for community members and school, and different schools and students throughout Harlem. So, and they're gonna be doing a couple different educational things, family-friendly events, throughout that day at the Studio Museum.
And we'll have reception and refreshments and the like, so that is one effort. And then the second thing I wanted to mention was, in our last meeting, we talked about what could I do for community board support? And Marielle took a survey of the boards, and we zeroed in on something I'm gonna take to my fellow board members. Excuse me, my fellow borough presidents, to advance a proposal for a long overdue cost of living adjustment for community board personnel in the upcoming budget. Community boards have not had a COLA for over a decade. And given that frankly, there's talk of the city council advancing a COLA because they too haven't had an increase, I think in over a decade. We think it's time that board personnel have that as well. So that will be our effort. We're going to be, thank you for everyone's input. That was super helpful. And we will be advancing that in a letter with my fellow borough presidents in the coming days.
And that's for fiscal 27 to take effect.
Correct.
And
If we're successful.
if you're successful. And then as treasurer, I'm gonna ask, so when we get our new budgets for fiscal 27, that will be factored into the new budget allocations.
God willing.
Thank
If I
you.
may. I just want to say that anti-Blackness is still a very big thing. Black people are suffering from racism every day. We have a situation that we're dealing with right now. This is in my personal capacity, but since I'm here, with a CEC3 meeting and a professor from Hunter College saying some very anti-Black stuff, while the children were testifying and fighting to keep their school. So, you know, everybody uses things that Black people invented every day of your life. We can't be a footnote. And that's what our Black community in Manhattan are feeling like. We're always last on the list, last to be mentioned. And, you know, we wouldn't be here without the contributions and the struggle and the brutalization of Black people. So while we're talking about Lincoln, let's please remember to center Black people. We can't be a footnote and we can't be everyone getting free on our oppression. We can't talk about immigration without talking about the 14th Amendment, without talking about the civil rights movement that opened up the country to let our people from other countries come here. And I'm telling you, as a Black woman, a Black mother, a Black grandmother, talking to my community, it's getting out of hand. So just keep that in mind. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Borough President, for your remarks. Okay. With that, I don't think we have any, Dawn, can I check if we have any council members online?
Yeah, I'm checking.
Okay, so Dawn is going to check, and we'll move on to see if we have any city council members online that would like to provide a report.
Not at this time.
Not at this time, okay, great. Thank you, Dawn, for checking. We do hope that our city council members will be able to join us at the March meeting. And so with that, I will turn it over to our colleagues at the Civic Engagement Commission.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Just one moment,
Yeah.
Dawn will shift the presentation.
saw it up there before, so.
But if you'd like, you can go ahead and
Sure,
kind of
yeah.
start, talking a little bit about yourself and introducing yourself while we pull it up.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. My name is Benjamin Solitaire, Senior Advisor with the New York City Civic Engagement Commission, which is a part of the mayor's office. We do a lot of different things. I will, oh, there we go. We'll cover, how many people have heard about the CEC? All right, that's great. But I'm gonna be in Hunter tomorrow, actually. Yeah, next slide. We do want to start off acknowledging Black History Month. Of course, this is the 100th anniversary of the event which started this process, the Negro Week, which Dr. Carter Woodson founded.
100 years ago.
100 years ago.
That's right.
Yeah, we just wanted to recognize that. And what?
100-year anniversary.
100 years ago. Could you remind me of the institute he founded? Do you remember Salo?
It's Bob.
Okay.
Not
Salo. So yeah, it's obviously the contributions of the Black and African American community are crucial.
crucial.
Next slide. Oh, February 6th. That's the day I guess they founded it. All right, next slide.
I appreciate
Civic engagement is people power. I was on a community board in Brooklyn years ago. A little background of me, I was sort of a Brooklynite, so thank you for letting me come here. Long time at the arts, then eventually went to work for Councilmember Steve Levin as a constituent services and land use person for in his district in Brooklyn, District 33. And also ran the participatory budgeting process for him. So I'm deep belief in that. And then I served on Community Board 6 in Brooklyn for 6 years before I worked for him. So deep believer in that people have a right to say, and it just helps everybody when people have a voice in what happens in their communities. So thank you for the work that you do. Next slide. Civic engagement, simply getting involved in your community to make it a better place by working together to solve problems, improving the quality of life, and participating in the decisions that affect everyone. It's about taking action, from voting and volunteering to speaking up at meetings and to shape your community's life. So that's what you guys do every day. That's what people love. One of my first forays, next slide was my civic story. One of my first exposure, I lived in New York for about 20 years. I moved here in '86. I was born here in Manhattan, by the way, on the Upper East Side. But I moved back in '86. And then about 20 years later, I got a chance to intern with Gail Brewer. Of course, her name is, you all know. I have more interns than anybody in the world, but yes, I was here.
As an intern.
Yeah, exactly. I was one of the thousands, but that's what I learned about the power of people and the love they have for their community and their power to affect it. And that was brought me. I was looking towards a field of. I was moving out of the arts, moving into maybe international affairs. But after that experience, I was like, New York is my home. New York is where I want to be, and to work with the people and be part of that. So I went from there to working on participatory budgeting. And then with Steve Levin and now at the Civic Engagement Commission. Does anybody have a civic story they want to share about how they got to here? I see somebody shaking their head no.
How they got here?
Yeah, well, how they got to what's their civic story? We all have one here, obviously.
I mean,
Yeah.
what's my story? You have to shut me down here. Twitter push notifications turned on from then Corey Johnson about participatory budgeting.
Awesome.
That was my entry point.
Wow.
Yeah, that was my entry point. And then Patrice Comerford in Eric's office, who saw me hanging out and doing he goes, "What do you want to do?" She goes, "Go check out." She was just go to a CBT, just go check it out. So that's my very short and brief civic story.
I love that it started with PB. That's one of my
Yeah.
passions. So
But it also started with social media.
It did. Yeah. Oh, and you know, it was
Something
important.
good.
And what was and one quick thing to add to that is that the reason why I was so attracted to participatory budgeting is there was training that came with it, and that to me showed that there was an investment in that. And that's and then the second part of that, very briefly, would be the Manhattan Borough leadership training programs, because they were open to the public. And that to me it really sparked like the curiosity. So air rights, I was like, that's what I want for Christmas. And then knowing how much it costs to run New York City was interesting and a fun social currency. And so here I am. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Next slide. So how did we get here? The CEC, you can go on. Next slide. We were part of a charter amendment revision in 2018. You might have voted for us. If you did, thank you for the job. I'm happy to be here. Over 1 million people voted for us in that charter revision. So it's the first commission, as it says, created by voters to restore civic trust and strengthen democracy. Those are our areas of focus. I'll go over them all in a little more detail as we move on. So next. We have 3 major programs. One of the first of which we're going to talk about is the voter language assistance. So next slide. We are mandated to bring interpretation to poll sites during primary and general elections. Everybody has the right to vote in their own language. Those are the languages we serve. We do not duplicate with the Board of Elections. We have an algorithm that's designed to help assign where and what languages and what poll sites. We can't serve every one. Unfortunately, Manhattan usually only gets 1 or 2 of our interpretation services. They're focused a lot, obviously, but in Brooklyn and Queens. Hopefully as we grow, we can start to match, find more. But everybody does have the right to bring an interpreter, as long as it's not their boss or supervisor. Next slide. We have, of course, some important elections coming up. The primaries coming up in June, and then the general in November. Again, the number of polling sites served depend on our resources and the algorithm that we use. We base that on citizens of voting age who are a little cut off there. That's with limited English proficiency population in program eligible jurisdictions. So Russian makes up a large part of our services, hence the focus in Brooklyn. And then Chinese and Korean don't make up that much, but we do serve with all those languages. So. Next. Oh, sorry. We do a lot of outreach. You probably got some emails from us about this. We do like to let everybody know of our services, even if we don't directly serve that borough, because they might know somebody who lives in a district that does get our services. So we do palm cards, posters. We translate all the languages. We have videos. We send out a digital toolkit, and we work with ethnic media. And the director of that program is Adila Kobo. I think you'll share the presentation. Yeah, so if you have any questions about our BLA program, you can email her. Next. The people's money, the participatory budgeting process. How many people have voted or been part of the people's money? All right, a few. Fantastic. Next slide. This process is, created in 1989 in Porto Alegre, Brazil, and has spread around the world. Obviously, we know it came to New York in 2011 with 4 council members, Brad Lander, Jamali Williams, Eric Ulrich, and Melissa Marco Marito. It is still there. People still do it in the council, but in 2018, when we were voted in, it was part of our charter mandated program. So it happens along the same basic steps as the council process, with that 4th step being a little bit different, but we did spend October and November getting ideas from around the city. Then right now we are in the Borough Assembly. This is a little bit different. This is a lot different than what the council does. We have people apply to be on the Borough Assemblies, which take those ideas and decide what goes on the ballot. We got 1,100 applications, and then we do a random selection. So we get 25 people per borough that represent the demographics of that borough. And they spend 20 hours deliberating. We provide information to them. It's 4 or 5 hour sessions to decide what 10 projects go on each ballot. So we have one more session for that, and this Sunday, and then the ballots for all the boroughs will be set. Coming up in May and June, after we translate those ballots and print them and sort of organize that, we use community partners to get the word out and to do the voting for us. We go to our own events. We'll be at Museum Mile, like we've been for a couple of years. But we use citywide about 85, 86 community partners that help us, that we pay to help get the word out about our process. but and you can do it on paper and digital. So all New Yorkers like the council 11 and up, regardless of any immigration status or anything. You just have to say you live here and that you're over 11. And everybody here over 11? Then you get to vote. And then we also oversee the implementation. So we funded 20 projects last year. We'll fund another 20 this year. And then we have $4 million for project implementation this year. Hopefully, again, we'll get more and we can grow that. But we put out RFIs for those projects that have been voted on, and then we give them a 12-course monitoring and evaluation class so that we can make sure that all the projects are reported on and performing correctly. And we'll see what we get in Manhattan soon. But so it's like a year for all the engagement and then another year for the implementation, because they're all, it wasn't clear probably, they're all programs and services. We're not doing capital. So we're doing hunger programs, mental health programs, senior programs, things like that. And again, you'll see the Manhattan ones. Next. Implementation next. You can, these are just some examples. For last year's programs, which ended a few months ago, we did a short video for all 20 programs. You can find them online under the CEC channel. That's all the ones the one from Manhattan Motherhood Empowerment workshops that we did here. But they're nice testimonials to the power of the projects that we built. Next. It's a little small, but you'll get it so you can read it. These are the 4 projects that are underway right now in Manhattan. Vocational training for middle school, high school students, learn to grow and cook your own food, youth entrepreneurship to people's. Oh, that's an interesting one because we partnered with the Service Design Studio, who are put extra funding in to get really real community feedback to developing that program. We do work, all of them work with communities, but this is a special program, pilot program, to see how that works. And then, of course, everyone should be able to swim. I think we all agree with that. So those are the organizations that are implementing those projects. Next. I think that's actually the Queen's Library. Sorry about that. The picture. Voting that. So last year we had 131,000 people vote. We would really love to get that number up and get more people to have a say. So we'll reach out to everybody here to help spread the word when we come. But last year we had, next slide. There's the actual numbers, 131,000. See, Manhattan, a little bit low on that side. I'm sure we can get that up. But also a little less population than some of the other ones. But next. You see that we do a survey, we had 73%, almost 74% return rate on that survey. So we do serve, or the people that vote with us, most of them prefer not to say what they are, but other than that, African-American, Asian, white, you can see that we have a good percentage of underserved communities. Next. Gender, mostly women. I think that's a common event. So it's not bad here, equal representation. But a lot of women vote, over 50%. Next. The age range, pretty good age distribution of age. A lot of young folks, a lot of over 65. So I think that's great. When you go up to an 11-year-old, or they come up to you at a voting table, and you're like talking to their dad or mom, and you can be like, "Hey, do you want to vote?" And they're like, "Sure." They're like, "How about you?" I'm like, "I can't vote." Yes, you can, and they are so excited about it. Next. Last year, the idea generations, we held 473 sessions around the city with almost 10,000 participants, as you can see. So we partner with folks to hold these sessions for us and really hear what people want around the city. Next. Okay, the Tree Neighborhood Initiative. Anybody familiar with the Tree neighborhoods? Next slide. The Task Force for Racial Inclusion and Equity. Was formed during the COVID administration, the COVID pandemic. It's the highest 33 of the hardest hit neighborhoods. Also with other economic disenfranchisement. There are 5 neighborhoods in Manhattan. We'll talk about those, but we adopted that program and we provide resources to CBOs in those neighborhoods that form coalitions with other groups, and then also we do capacity building. Hopefully strengthening the local infrastructure and promoting social cohesion. So that process has never been baselined in the budget. I haven't seen where it is this year. It was funded with $2 million in the last couple of years. And they help us. We provide resources to them and they help with the PB process and other things as well. Next. If you can see here, these are the neighborhoods in Manhattan that were designated. We didn't choose these were designated by a commission, by the Task Force for Racial Inclusion and Equity. Next slide. And these are the organizations that we have as anchor organizations in those neighborhoods to help do these, provide services. Next. Community boards, you guys, that's sort of that's the one program that is my program that I run. I do lots of things at the CEC, but that's one. How many people have taken a training that we've offered? 1, 2, 3. Okay, all right, maybe get a few more. Next. So what we're looking to do is obviously build relationships more with the borough president's offices. So thank you, Mariel, for inviting us today to help do that. For a long time, we offered, and we still do, but workshops that are open to every community board, every member. There's broad topics, but we have offered in the past. We were doing parliamentary procedure for boards that asked for them, so we would go provide them direct services. We've talked about doing a de-escalation workshop, which would be for all the borough president's offices. For it's a 30-person in-person event that hopefully we'll do here at some point. So we're trying to do a little more in person. It's our resources aren't that great, but we'll talk about what we're offering for so far. The Future of Community Boards Working Group, we're talking to them about how to prepare for term limits. I've talked about it with Marielle a little bit. We know that's a big concern for folks as they come up. And then working with DCAT, anybody knows New York City Learns?
Yes.
We'll talk about this because they are technically accessible to all board members right now, these EEO trainings. It's a very complicated process to get there.
Accessible or required?
Accessible. They're not required for board. But they had been, what?
Should they be?
I would think so. That's a lot of people to keep track of, and I think it's that sort of organization of how DCAS knows who's supposed to take them and get access. So I would think that my opinion is they should be. I've heard a lot of requests for them to be accessible. So they used to be behind a firewall, which only is city computers, but now that does not exist. But there's a lot of organization to get the process rolling. And I got a long email from DCAS the other day about it, and I was like, this is a very long email. But we'll continue to talk about it. So that's some of the stuff, bigger picture things we're doing. Next. You might have seen yesterday, I sent out the first 3 workshops. I'll send them to the VP's offices directly today, but we're Center for Urban Pedagogy is going to do an affordable housing workshop with us. We're looking at doing an arts and community boards, like how that iterates and how you can bring arts into your board. Does that seem like an interesting topic?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Greenwich.
District that has 2 art fairs a year.
Wow, fantastic. Before you're 6, 8?
8.
Fantastic. We're going to do Beta NYC is going to do an AI overview with us, how to use it, how not to use it.
Lord.
Yeah, it's a pretty popular.
Watch our water, watch our water.
Yeah. We connected with the New York State court system, and they're going to do a presentation on how that behemoth of an organization works and how to interact with it. We thought that would be, they have a civic engagement outreach person. Democratic Innovations. You guys are a Democratic Innovation back in 1968, 69, I think, when they were created. There's a lot of other methods to get people's voices heard, civic assemblies, PB, of course, and legislative theater. So that's just an introduction to those types of methods, not that you would incorporate them, but just so you know about them and how they work and how they can raise people's voices throughout the community. The de-escalation workshop we just talked about. DYCD yesterday, they asked to do workshops, so they're going to do about their services and the neighborhood advisory boards. So there's a few more to come. We try to do them at 1 or 2 in the afternoon and then also in the evening so that people have an option. And we do 2 or 3, or probably usually 3 or so sessions per topic so that everybody has an opportunity. Next. I think that's it. You can get involved with us. This is Barbara Williams, who is out sick today, but she's our Director of Outreach and Volunteer Services. And of course, me, Senior Advisor, that's our contact information. It'll be in the deck when it gets shared. I think a lot of you have my contact information. But we hope to hear from you and any questions, anything that,
Yeah,
yeah.
I actually was confused because I didn't I've seen you, like, when I've done some work during early voting for senior tables
Okay.
outside. But, so this office is mandated by the charter, so what is the mayor talking about? Because he's saying he's setting up an office of community engagement.
Well, it's sort of the same. He set up the Office of Mass Engagement, which there was the Office of Civic Engagement, which was an umbrella organization, office for Public Affairs Unit, Community Affairs Unit, NYC Service and us. That got dissolved and replaced by the Office of Mass Engagement.
I'm confused.
So the Office of Mass Engagement, we liaison with, but they are developing other, I mean, we work with them, but they're just getting their feet on the ground right now.
They know you existed?
Oh, yeah, no, we met with them. We met with them yesterday. We do meet with them regularly. They are not charter mandated. They're a creation of the mayor through an executive order.
Yeah, no,
But-
I get that. I
yeah.
actually thought that's what you were before you gave, then I saw your stuff, because I've seen those VLA things
Great.
everywhere.
That's great. But yeah, we are under the Office of Mass Engagement.
Ah.
Yes.
Just curious, how many people work in the commission?
We have about 23 full-time staff and about another 7 or 8 consultants and part-time folks.
And what's your budget?
Well, we haven't seen the new budget, preliminary budget yet. The Office of Mass Engagement. We have $4 million for project implementation, which, yeah, not very much in 115. So what's the new budget total? I haven't seen. 127?
Bill is for the new, they just came out.
I haven't just seen that. We have $4 million for project implementation and about another 6 or so for operations to run all the other programs. So it's, I'd have to check again, but it's around 12.
Curious, thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Benjamin from the Civic Engagement Commission? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. To see you all and with you any way that we can.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And as I shared, I'll be sure to share the slides with everyone. I'm looking forward to continue working with you on some of those upcoming trainings, particularly on that discussion around term limits, because I know that's something several of you have reached out to me about. So it's certainly top of mind for us.
Those start in 2027, right?
2027, correct.
So people who's been on the board for like 50 years, they gotta get out.
It depends on when they were appointed, but there's.
Eventually, no, but eventually.
Yeah.
It starts in
Yeah.
2027, the
It
time
starts in
limit
2027.
starts in 2027.
Yes.
Oh, okay, I got you.
So we'll be sending, so we will send some information around, sorry, just if I can, thank you. We will send some information just to make, because it is very confusing, I agree, just to make sure everyone's on the same page around that. And then with time, we will then start reaching out to inform each of the DMs and the CV chairs, who are the members that are up for, with the term limits, but that will be in slower time. But we are working on messaging generally on how that works. So thank you. Thank you, Benjamin. Again, really appreciate your time here today. Thank you. I do want to acknowledge for the purposes of our minutes that we've been joined by Marquise, Chair of Community Board 10. We've also been joined by Valerie, I think she just stepped out for a moment, Chair of Community Board 2, as well as Andrea, who I believe is online, Community Board 3. And then we also have City Council Member Gail Brewer. So I'd like to give, if the board indulges me, give space for our City Council member to provide a report. Now there are some problems like muting and unmuting. It's been sorted. Okay, now I think we see you now as a panelist, council member.
Can she unmute or do we have to unmute?
She should be able to unmute.
Yep, here
Wonderful.
I think I'm here. Let's see.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry, I'm literally outside, but two things. One is whatever you come up with regarding the community boards and budget, I will be glad to champion because I feel very strongly about them. And I do chair government operations, which comes under, but includes the community boards. I hope that when the budget hearings take place in March regarding community boards and government operations, that the community boards show up. That is incredibly important. Second, as you know, I think it's a lot of budget discussions that are going on in the city council. And I think you're up on it, so you know the issues. I don't think it was fair for the mayor to put the governor versus, I would say, the property tax versus tax the rich. So hopefully that'll get worked out. We definitely need funding, but I don't know if that would have been the way to go about it. We have lots of events. I assume you have our newsletter, but we certainly have a March 23rd, I believe the date is, for the town hall that we're doing at John Jay. And then we have March 8th, we have the book fair at JCC with 6,000 books for children. Everybody's welcome, and many other events. I'm running off to a hearing at 10 o'clock, but I think that the main issue right now for the city council is the budget. I've also been looking at the issue of insurance. I know the speaker has a bill. We have some bills. We can't do much. As the borough president knows, it's a state issue, but I think that there's an interest in trying to address some of the issues locally. One building in my district, Co-op, last year paid, I think, I don't know, 82,000 in insurance, and this year it was $350,000 in insurance for that co-op. So there's something wrong with this system. I will let you go back to your great discussion. I've been listening to the whole thing, and I'm sorry, but I have to get to a hearing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Thank you. Okay, so moving on to the next agenda item on our agenda is just kind of a discussion on the input that you all provided in regards to support for community boards. I do just kind of want to echo what the borough president has shared. Really appreciate your feedback, your input. I've been combing through it and kind of picked out bits and pieces and themes that have come out. One was training. And so really looking forward again to working with you closely with the CEC in terms of more training for our community board members and our community board staff. I know there were also concerns around technology and how do you work with, OTI and all of those things. So again, all things that are very much on our team's radar and then kind of things that we will be taking forward. So really appreciate that. But I do just kind of, again, want to highlight coming out of that, one of the big things that did come out, which is what the borough president spoke about, which is the office's intention to really focus on the long overdue cost of living adjustment for our community boards. I know that was something that came through quite clearly in your feedback. So thank you for that. Maybe we can open it up for a couple of minutes for any additional thoughts on that. And then
I would just like to add, following up on the council members' comments, we should organize something when they have the appropriate hearing for us to collectively make our case. Maybe we have one of us represent all of us. I think, borough-wide effort at the hearings might be effective.
Coordinated or like.
Coordinated, exactly. Yeah.
So we will, thank you. We'll certainly follow up with you, Council.
I'm new to the city budget process, so you guys can educate me too. I'm used to Albany.
And that, what committee is that? Will you remind me the city council committee that falls under about the operation?
With Councilmember Brewer.
So, amazing.
That's good.
Yeah, so
That's good.
Thank you, I appreciate that reminder.
Yeah, so while we're talking about community board budget and we're talking about making sure that, our staff is paid, I think the budget as a whole for our community boards need to be expended. Why are we not talking about that? When's the last time we looked at how much we give community boards to operate, do things in our community? Because we're very limited. So I would love if we could fight around that too, to open up the budget for us to operate the community board as well. We can't fight for the staff without fighting for funds for us to do what we do. Like right now, we're having engagement sessions and minglings with, the community. That takes money. you know, and when we talk about arts and culture and stuff like that, how about give us some money to do some arts and cultural things in our communities as well?
You should also reach out. You should reach out to us.
Yeah.
We can help. And our chief of staff isn't here, so I hope I'm not overstepping. But we can help with those kinds of expenses. If you have a reception, if you have a gathering, a cultural event, we should be your resource too.
Good to know. Thank you.
When is the hearing on that? I think she said, do we know a date?
I didn't hear the date.
Okay.
It's a little bit low.
Advised you that's coming up.
Yeah, so we'll make sure that I'll reach out to her office and make sure that we have that information ahead of time, and I think that's a great point.
Yeah,
You know,
I think we have a date.
I don't think so, right?
Organize ourselves around that.
Direct
Yep.
now onto the.
Okay, one
Quickly.
and so Valerie and Adam, and then we'll go on to chair reports.
Just two quick things. We need money so we can hire professionals, especially in the land use space. You know, those are constant issues and we're constantly, you know, counting our pennies, even though they don't exist anymore, to make sure that we have money to hire land use professionals. And the other thing is, and this happened the other day, we don't have big enough space, a dedicated space for our meetings. We've got to go out and, you know, we have a lot of community partners, but we can't find spaces. I mean,
Okay.
$4,000 a night,
Okay.
like, we don't have
Again,
that.
Valerie, we should be a resource for that.
Okay.
For requesting meeting space. Sometimes it's more effective if our office calls and says, you know, hey, guys, we need this space and you can't charge us. This is a community meeting and it's your responsibility. Talk about civic engagement, you know, come on. So let me know.
Okay, will do.
And we talked to other community boards about that.
Correct, and actually on that, Ian, who's the DM for CBA, did reach out to me. I know when you were hosting the public hearing. And so we had a brief conversation. I gave him some suggestions. So yes.
But it's not
Just
just a
seems like
suggestion,
Yep.
it's a call that we should be able to make.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're not on your own here,
Okay.
okay?
Yep, agreed.
Lean on us, call me directly if you need to.
Thank you. And then Adam, I think you have.
Nothing makes me more frustrated when we give, you know, a lot of, you know, we fork over basically civic, you know, air rights, community space and the like to developers and nonprofit organizations. And then they don't return it by providing our community meeting space. So it really gets under my skin. And so I'm happy to make those calls directly.
Yeah, thank you. Adam?
I think more funding for community outreach. Sometimes it feels like the only people who know about a community board are the people on a community board. And I think it could be a general funding where we can all be kind of promoted, just boards in general. You know, but like, you know, we have public hearings like where one or two people show up and, you know, we're kind of just going out with flyers on our own and stuff, which is great, but you know, we need more.
I would like, and it's a really great point. Adima, I would like to maybe establish a subcommittee among our board chairs and district managers to talk about public notices. It's to me, it's a very, some boards do it, we all do it differently, right? But maybe with our best practices that we could share with each other. Because getting the word out can be difficult, particularly if you're posting for a development, right? And there's nothing there. Where are you supposed to put the post? Like, where are you supposed to, and do you tape it onto a, you know, a lamp post or a mailbox? What does that look like for your neighborhood?
Yeah.
Some people don't like that. How do we regularize our system? I would love to have some sort of discussion about how we can make it systematic or at least best practices for our neighborhood notices.
100%. And just to add on that, one of the things that we've been trying to do, which we hope you've started to sense and feel, is creating that sense of community where those best practices can be shared. So for example, the DMs, we all have a chat group. You all, I think some of you, most of your DMs did join, but there was, you know, there's a drop-in hour with John and I for questions and things. And obviously we're available outside of that as well. Because I do think that's exactly right. You know, where can we share best practices, things that have worked well in some CVs, could maybe work well in others and things maybe to avoid, right? And so that's really important.
I just wonder if I can just add to your point, Adam, that this has come up a lot in our board one. And one of the things that I always think is missing is just a table at so many of our fairs and so many very important events that happen in all our communities, and we never seem to have presents, like a little budget for swag, you know, the hat at the table, the button, somebody there. Granted, it's volunteering to be there, but I think that would help a great deal to your point. Absolutely, 100%.
I agree. That's been on my list because I think it's also a chance. You feel good about something when you're telling somebody else about it. I think it's also an opportunity, not that we're asking people to doing more time, but to be able to, I think it is really important for us to reintroduce ourselves to the community, even, 5 years after the, or continuing the pandemic. So I'm really interested in that subcommittee.
Great, so we'll kind of take that offline, kind of organize it. I'll send something out to see if we can get something on the book to start having those really important discussions. Great, thank you. With that, we will now move on to committee board chairs reports. And so because we started with CB1 last time, I'm going to start with CB12.
Oh my God.
Did I catch you off guard?
Yes. So in CB12, we have finally, we have an on-board date for our new this district director, Kiana Diaz. Thank God. She will be coming on March 2nd. We done got everything straightened out, so that's amazing. Like our chair that last month that just opened things up to the LinkedIn and working on our social medias and working on our newsletter to improve it. We're planning another mixer with the community. I am also the chair of youth and education, and we're coming after the charter schools in our community. We have charter schools. We have charter schools in our community that have been allowed to run rampant. And we have a lot of parents coming to us. One parent has been banned from her child's school for 3 years. So there's a lot of
charter school parent.
She's a charter school parent, and her child and we're talking about Wynn Charter School, who just got a $45 million new building on 162nd between St. Nicholas and Broadway. The children from 5th to 8th grade have no recess. They didn't think about a place for the older children to have recess when they was building this $45 million building. And so for the last 2 years, the children from 5th to 8th grade have had no recess. And if anyone knows about culturally responsive, sustaining education, which is state policy, that is not it. With our councilwoman, we have been trying to have meetings with the school, but they are very resistant. They have an executive director. They don't even have principals. They have executive directors because it's a private board. So his name is Charlie Otis, and he is very difficult. And he's very difficult to the parents. And what he doesn't understand is that this is my community and I know these people. So every time the parents complain, he turns it into they're being violent. And that's the reason that he uses for banning the parents from the school. But this particular parent, her child is a very good student. She plays guitar and violin, and she's been there since kindergarten. She is now in 7th grade. If the mother was threatening the students, the parents, and the administration, her child would not be there. Because that would be a danger for the whole school, right? So that's just one of the things that we're dealing with on the community board, and we're trying to tackle because charter schools have had, they're very accountability and transparency. The way that they're set up is very hard to get. So now we have the parents filling out FERPers. Because as we talk to the administration, that's what they're telling us. Oh, we can't do this, we can't do that. And as we know, if a parent gives permission to discuss the situation of what's happening in the school, then that's what happens. So we're really trying to moderate that space and just make sure that this parent and these children are not, because imagine being that child and your mother can't come to your school. She hasn't been to this child's recitals in 3 years.
because they have a problem with her. They have alienated this one parent. She's not allowed to, they have told the whole administration that they're not allowed to talk to her. She has one designated person to talk to. If she's standing on a public sidewalk talking to another parent, they tell her that she can't stand on a public sidewalk outside the school. It's really crazy, Brad. So that's what we're dealing with. So we will be having a hearing after our general meeting in March. And you know, we have Zeta trying to build a school on 181st in Broadway, a high school. And if anybody knows that area, that is not okay. And they are another school that has a lot of has a building in our community, and the traffic uptown, I think it's like 218th, it's already crazy. And we have a lot of parents that are scared, that complain all the time because they're scared that somebody is going to get hit with the parents coming and with the cars and dropping off their kids and getting their kids. It just hasn't been good. So, you know, we're going to try to fight that, because we don't need any more charter schools in our community. We need our public schools to be fully funded in every way and culturally responsive in every way. So that's some of the things that we're working on in CB12.
Maybe Marquise has a response to that.
I was quiet. I don't know the situation. And even in public schools, you can have a no access granted for parents if they are threatening or violent towards. I don't know the situation, so that's why I'm quiet about that.
Situation.
I don't know anything about, so.
I've never heard in a public school, and I've been dealing with, my oldest daughter is 32 years old.
As a union rep, I can say that we absolutely will advocate for any parent who threatens a teacher that they get a no access granted.
But
And they
that's
have to
not
have
the case.
special, that's what I'm saying. That's
Right.
was my whole point, was I don't know the situation as to why no access was not.
Right.
Let me know if I can be.
A lot of times, but I just want to say, a lot of times teachers will say, or administrations will say that parents are being violent because they are advocating for their child. This parent advocated for her child because the parent was on a school trip with the child, and the child got her menstruation for the first time. And they told her she couldn't take her child to the bathroom. What would you do?
Yeah, let us know if we can escalate this, if we should escalate it to the
Yes.
superintendent or even the chancellor.
Yes.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Tanisha. CB11, Adan?
All right, I'll hit highlights. We had a busy month. Yesterday, we had a groundbreaking of Timbali Terrace. Our borough president was there, Porfirio was there. I don't know if I'm missing anyone. Mayor Mamdani was there. I somehow got near him for the whole photos and everything. Thank you.
I was off to the side.
I was like, I should do that.
Like, let me just say, the three guys had gone, like, that's a decade.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I've been on the boards before it began, so I was like, I may have been involved, well, Elsie Encarnacion was on the board with us, I was like, we've probably been the two people there that have been involved with it the longest, so. And, the supportive housing is obviously great, the affordable housing, but it's also the Casa Belongo, the Afro-Latin Jazz Center, that Park Avenue North, in East Harlem is got no, it's right across from the community board office, actually. It's, we really need economic drivers and things for the people in our community to do as well. We had a moratorium on the siting of new substance abuse treatment facilities. 82% of the people we serve in our community are not people from our community. We're just looking for fair share on that, and turn the narrative around that we're not saying we don't want to help, just, let's get everybody more involved in that. To supportive housing, we have a couple of as of right coming into our neighborhood, St. Francis Friends of the Poor, and then we have a short-term transitional housing actually coming to our executive committee meeting tonight. We're trying to reshape the supportive housing in our community to start serving families, homeless families and stuff, not just single adult individuals. HPD came in and said, we know about the highest rate of childhood homelessness. I'm like, yeah, you and HRA only want to really, with the 1515 program, fund a specific demographic. To speaking of schools, we have a private school, Bamford Nightingale on 92nd Street. They bought a giant lot on 108th between 3rd and Lexington. We had them at our youth and education meeting. It was a little crazy. You gotta explain to our board members that sometimes as of right, you can be upset and stuff, but you gotta keep people engaged because they will just walk away. You know, they're like, oh, the optics are bad. I'm like, yeah, but a year from now, no one will pay attention to it. We're just trying to get more use for our youth and also for our seniors and, so there's that. We have a hearing on our statement on the mayor's preliminary budget on Tuesday. Speaking of outreach, we've printed flyers. Me and my members are going out. We're gonna have our district needs chair maybe do an Instagram video. I'm trying to convince him of doing that. Thanks to Leslie, I have a meeting with some of my housing committee, with the NYCHA CEO at our office at 3 o'clock today, actually. So, that's really important for us to start those dialogues. The HPD feasibility study on Wards Island that I mentioned, we have Councilmember Brewer and Encarnacion coming to our full board meeting on Tuesday to speak about that. And then one thing on the budget, which I'm hoping, I know the mayor said, it'll be in his executive budget in May, but it wasn't on his preliminary budget, was the Department of Community Safety. In our community, the NYPD are responding to a lot of the mental health issues and the people that are having substance abuse issues that are outside. And, I'm saying like refocus why these problems are coming into our community. And that's the people dealing the drugs, and free the NYPD up and law enforcement to go target that. And hopefully let this program engage the people that need help. And yeah, I mean, even with the school, I've engaged directly with our assembly member. I think maybe my idea of making all their representatives to speak at the end of the meetings is waking them up a little bit. Actually, our council members say, I support you doing that. And we had none of them speak at our last meeting. And members were like, what happened? I'm like, you didn't expect that to happen. I mean, that was exactly what's going to happen. We just you can't give up because, that's it. So.
So I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
So, thank you. So you don't want you want your elected officials to speak at the end? Is that?
No, we want our elected officials to speak in the beginning. Their reps, because we've had them come, because of the pandemic, they really don't show up in person, and then they don't have their, Porfirio comes basically every meeting in person, but they don't even turn their cameras on. And one of them came on and waited, actually, Serrano's office. And I was like, her camera was off, and I was like, turn it on or you can give your report next month. And she turned it on. I mean, we're not trying to penalize anyone or whatever, but the idea of also letting them speak at the end of the meeting is hopefully that they're there. I understand citywide officials have, 50 boards or 11 boards if they're Manhattan. But, when I hear them talk about our local electeds, their staff is busy. I'm like, you only have like 1 or 2 board meetings to go to a month and you have a staff of, let's say, 7 or 8 people. So I don't really think our board wants to hear.
I would love to, maybe this is something we could discuss as an elected official and as a former state senator. There is some confusion. I had 4 boards. At one time I had 6 boards in my Senate district. So, it can be a lot, but the timing is always different for every board meeting. The protocol is always different for every board meeting. Again, I would open up the question, maybe not for today. Should we make it systematic? Should we make it, routine? And that might help you get what information you need from the elected official. The elected official may then also show up in person, which is, I think, what you want, right? So you can say, Senator, council member, what are you doing about this? And then the other thing is like, how long do they speak? I think you got 2 minutes or you got 3 minutes?
We have that.
Think of that, yeah. But I think a Manhattan borough-wide, policy, if you're open to it, on public official timing might be something you consider. It might be better for them and better for you. It's just my thoughts.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I like what you're doing.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate your report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marquis, CB10.
Hi, this month, we had usually by the month we started, but now this is a little different, so I'm going a little early, so.
Up a little bit.
Yeah. I'll just say we have a new DM that we're currently onboarding, started last week. there's a lot, you know, and we only had one other staff member at the moment. So we now have two, and we're trying to immediately onboard him while we're also looking to hire again a new person. And so we're evolving. But with that said, we're glad to have a district manager in place. Some of the things that you know, we've talked about this month or things that have come up. We actually, in regards to charter schools, we actually in our education committee decided that we want to engage charter schools and their parents more, as we have not, we recognize that we have not you know, they've just not had a presence at our board meeting or anything. They're not in regards to their community outreach or even us having it outreach to their parents. And so we want to just know if there are issues, what they are, because a huge amount of our student population are in charter schools. And so that it would be
50%.
yeah, it would be really bad for us to kind of not have them at the table at all. And so we actually started that conversation and are trying to figure out how we kind of just get that input, to see what issues are existing. And if we can be supportive in some ways. That doesn't take away from our advocacy for our public schools and for fair funding that we believe. And so that's one thing we're also focused on. We've also been in our public safety committee. I know that we have engaged in a lot of efforts surrounding immigration, and we are very concerned about in our community some of the things that we are continuously focused on, educating people and building kind of a community support around that. There's also been some talk about, I know there's some things that we're doing in regards to the city budget. We planned in our government and budget committee this week. I'm sure we'll have lots of discussion and allow members of the public to comment about the city budget. And we anticipate drafting a statement from Community Board 10 about the budget and, you know, sharing our thoughts and going forward. We recently started last year a government and budget committee. One of the major goals in that is that we would like to have, or what I've set for, that we would like to have Community Board 10 at least passing more resolutions and putting out more information about how things impact our community, whether it be on a local, state, or federal legislation. And so in that committee, they're looking hard at issues all around, especially government and budget, but anything that impacts our community. So that moving forward, we want to have more of a voice, at least let that and share that with our elected officials, what our stance is on in different things. And with that said, I think that's all I have for now. We are in the midst of Black History Month, and so we are also proudly celebrating that.
Say I always appreciate your newsletters.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Marquise. So just, I had the chance to meet with Kendall.
Yes.
He's great. Really looking forward to kind of continuing that engagement with him and then CE10. We'll make sure we do that. And I also had the chance to meet with our niece, government and budget committee as well. And so it was really great to hear kind of the work that you all are doing there. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Victor is out, so no CB9 today. Valerie, CB8.
Good morning. Well, I don't know if I need to speak if you read the New York Post, because we've been in it like every other week.
Yeah, you're showing up on my Instagram.
Right. Oh, on your Instagram. Yeah, well, I'm not on Instagram and I'm thankful for that, but everyone has told me that I'm on Instagram. Yeah. So it's been a busy February, even though it's a short month. A couple of things, starting off with the Legionnaires case in our district. A couple of comments there. It's in one of our cooperative residences. And we've been working very closely with the Borough President's office, our electeds. A couple of interesting things I just want to point out. It is in this particular building, it is in the water supply. The threshold level for being said that you have Legionnaire's disease is just above 0. So there's no like acceptable level of Legionnaire's disease in the water. So when you test positive, you know, that's a big deal. And, you know, I don't want to go into all, but if you have 2 cases, the whole 9 yards. But anyway, a couple of things. We've been working with parks, because John Jay Park has been to be very close to where this residence is. to try to set up a place where people can go and get public showers. And it's sort of a novel idea, but we're trying to work with it. And Parks is sort of agreeing. The other thing I just want to point out, this was related to Gail's insurance question in a very novel way. You know, because we thought about maybe we could get like some kind of portable unit and put it outside their building. And I asked them about their insurance. And apparently there is an exclusion for biological events. And this Legionnaire's disease is considered a biological event. And so there's no insurance available, well, at least for this, I don't know what everybody else's insurance policy for their buildings looks like, but you know, when COVID came about, I think a lot of the insurance companies decided to use that, and you know, that. So this apparently, and this was told to me by somebody who's on the board of the building, that their insurance will not cover anything related to this. So everybody's investigating. You know, there hasn't been any spread to any additional buildings. People are taking a lot of precautions, and we're following it as everybody else. On a positive note, last year, that was about 6 months ago. I just want to say this in terms of your district needs statement. We finally had a meeting with our congressman, and he asked me what I wanted, and I pushed my district needs statement across the table, and we started talking about what kind of federal funding we could get for things. So that was like a 45-minute conversation, and I'll say that was the most useful 45 minutes of my chairmanship of that board, because we're getting $850,000 for renovations for our Seabury Park. Which we sorely need, and then $250,000 related to the Roosevelt Island tram, which is, you know, a really big plus. And so we thank Congressman Nadler for that. On other notes, there's something going on Roosevelt Island. Somebody is trying to tear down the steam plant there. We had passed a resolution last night asking for a pause because we don't exactly know why they want to tear down the steam plant. And we had about 60 residents show up at our meeting last night. There's obviously a small committee meeting, but came to our full board meeting. There are issues about how they're removing oil tanks, et cetera, and the community is very upset. So we're looking at that with our elected officials. I'll just say that we don't allow elected representatives to speak unless they're in the room. And one of the reasons we do that is because when these issues come up, we want residents who come, you know, to our meetings to be able to talk directly. And that was a great thing that happened last night after they gave their presentation. They went off to the side in a side room and started talking about this issue. So I think that, you know, we agree, the online.
Can we be helpful on this steam plant issue?
We'll let you know. So we'll be sending out our resolution today, but I know that Liz Kruger is very involved in it, and so is Julie Bennett. So we're just trying to figure out what's
Seems
going
like
on.
covered.
Yeah, but we appreciate it. All voices are welcome. The other thing is, we met with the speaker regarding the revival of the city council's plan to make outdoor dining year round. Both Valerie De La Rosa and I were there. We're perplexed by this. You know, we think the program's working great in our districts. We dispute Councilmember Ressler's figures as to how many outdoor dining establishments are actually out there. He was not counting the conditionally approved, of which there are almost 4,000. So when you add that with the actual approved, it's closer to 5,000 that are operating. So we really don't understand that. We gave some alternatives, and I appreciate the speaker's willingness to invite us down to have a conversation before the legislation comes out again. But you know, at least in Manhattan, you know, we think, and Valerie can speak for herself, but we think that the program is working fine in our districts as presented. So, okay, then I'll get to our shelter. We had a very interesting public hearing last Monday. I was not surprised that most of the people we heard from were against it. But I do want to say that they are actually in the minority in our neighborhood. And
Who's in the minority?
the people who are against the shelter. Look, this is when you have issues like this, people come out to the community board for the first time. That's when they hear about the community board, and it's something that actually touches them. I tried in the beginning of the meeting to explain to everyone how it works. We don't have a set up role. Obviously, everyone in this room knows that for the establishment and siting of shelters, et cetera, et cetera. It's just really a notification. And they come and make a presentation. We felt for our neighborhood and for the population that a women's shelter would be a preferred shelter. We truly wanted women and families first, but HSS is telling us that that's not an option for this space. So the next best thing was a shelter for 200 single women. And that didn't appease the people who were against it. And last night, my board voted unanimously, except for 2 abstentions, in favor of the shelter. So we think that this can work. We have shelters in our neighborhood already that people don't even know exist. So we think that this can be a success for everyone. And I just want to say, because I know what's been in the paper, that our community supports helping the unhoused. And I think, 80% of the women who are going to be in the shelter have jobs. And our state senator spoke through her representative last night. We have people in our neighborhood who overnight lose their jobs and they cannot stay. And so, there's going to be many mechanisms in place, and we've worked with HSS before, and we hope we can do this again. Now, that doesn't mean that the HSS policy is appropriate, because we think that we should be involved much earlier in the process, like when the RFP comes in for shelter sightings. And we think that that's when they should start outreach to the community to avoid these confrontations and I completely understand that people are upset about plunking down 200 people on their block who've never lived there before, et cetera. But I didn't make up the process. That's a mayoral agency. And so, maybe we should look at how that is done, in the city. And the last thing I'll say is, related, just a comment. Gail says invite us to a public hearing. Nobody wants to listen to community boards, okay? I mean, especially I've spoken to the speaker directly about this. When we go to a public hearing, we're supposed to be a city agency. We never know when we're going to speak. Sometimes we're waiting online for 12 hours for that little, okay, Valerie Mason, it's your turn.
Oh, I usually have your DM reach out to the agent or the council member. That's usually, I usually get put up in the beginning.
No, when with dining, et cetera, and so I think that that's one thing. The second thing is coming to Borough Board and telling us about open dining being a reopened issue and getting our input. I mean, we're on the ground. We've been dealing with this instead of having to wait for a public hearing. So I think there could be a lot more interaction between, there is community engagement. It's somehow there's a breakdown between what we're doing on the ground and what people are doing in the legislatures, be it Albany and the last thing I want to say, we've had a lot of trouble with cannabis. And we had 2 cannabis applications last night. I think everyone around the table has been following what has been happening, that OCM misinterpreted the legislation and allowed cannabis shops to open that were technically illegal. And now the governor has passed a bill, which again, nobody came to any community boards to get any input. So that all of these shops are now grandfathered in perpetuity. Like.
Very nice.
Because of the injustice to the applicant. What about the injustice to the children who are in these schools that have these shops that are almost like on top of them? Why didn't they why aren't they considered the victims?
So,
And
yeah,
I mean, you know, again, that's it. That's my report.
Thank you, Valerie. Really appreciate, and just a reminder, let's please try to keep our reports to 2 to 3 minutes.
It's been a busy
I
month.
know, for sure. And I know, so for on the public hearing, I do actually want to commend both you and Ian. I did join, I was online.
Oh, they thought I was being paid.
No,
That was
I thought you had done
great.
really well. And so I do want to kind of echo the point that you said. It was really encouraging to hear that actually the number of people in support of the shelter farly outnumbered those who were against
We
it.
had
So
600
that was well
people
done.
at our meetings via in person and online.
I was one of the online, but thank you.
It was
CB7, great. CB7,
So we're happy to report we have a new district manager. It's Jessie Nieves. Who many of you know, she's been a 20-year employee of CB7 and she's held every job. And we decided to give her the role because she has the institutional knowledge. And she knows the board members, she knows the players, both on the board and our city agencies. And so she's held many roles and she's a welcomed addition to the role. So with that said, now we have 2.5 FTEs. So at some point, we're going to discuss later at our executive committee meeting about either hiring another FTE, maybe a community assistant, or taking our part-time person, Maisie, and offering her a full-time position. So stay tuned on that front. Secondly, we got many applications for a public members position, which is a great way for us as a board to get to know prospective board members and for them to get to know us. And we're looking to make a decision sometime in the next few weeks on that. And then lastly, we have 4 vacancies on our board. And we would love to get some high school students because the 2 that we had are now in college and they're, you know, pursuing their college goals. And it's great to have their insights, especially the both of them had served on our youth education libraries committee. They bring a lot of insight and a lot of energy and things that really resonate with teenagers and high school students and young people.
wonderful. Thank you so much on that. Great to hear about the public members.
Yeah, could I ask about the process for that? How do you? Sorry, could I ask about the process for soliciting public members or?
So what we do is we make an announcement. It's on our website. We take in applications and then we ask on the application which specific committees they're interested in. And usually the top committees are youth education and libraries and housing. Those are the top committees, and then we convene with the board, with the committee chairs because at the end of the day, you know, if they think it's valuable, then we make a decision.
Yeah, and the other thing on that, you know, as we think about term limits, you know, I know some of the discussions are, those who are term limited, they're welcome to apply as public members as well, right? So those are things
And
to
actually,
think
we might
about.
have one person that might have applied.
Great,
So
thank
get
you.
your bylaws to address things related to.
Great, thank you. Moving on to CB6, Sandy?
Yes, I have the feeling some of the 600 people that were talking about the shelter were from our board. For a lot participation, we didn't have to do it, so that's okay. We've been reviewing and creating handbooks and documents, and documenting some of the procedures that we have in place. And it's been a good exercise in just going back and looking at how things happen. CB5 shared their new members handbook, which is amazing. I recommend everyone take a look at it. And we created a task force to look at potential sites for public schools that are over too many children in them currently. it's something that we don't have a lot of space in our district, but we're hoping we might be able to push the DOE to look at some of these potential spaces. And that's it. We definitely have procedures for when people, for our elected officials to come. We welcome them. But they don't always show up. And we understand that if they're in Albany, we still want to hear from them. I think that's a big concern, and they have to be online to do that. For sure.
Thank you, Sandy. CB5.
So it was a light meeting or a light week for us, or a light month for us in terms of applications. So we had a fairly quick board meeting, but I will say we did, I think we may have set a record. But we did a lot of, we've been doing sort of preparation stuff in the background. So one of the items was we voted on and the board approved that public bathroom proposal that we've been talking about. And so I think we're now sort of in a holding pattern while we wait for DCP to have a new head so that we can have that discussion. We've been sort of gearing up as well for onboarding new members. I think right now we are down 5 members and probably will be in the 6 or 7 range by the time new applications come around. So any early slot filling would be appreciated, but I'm not going to hold my breath because I'm sure you're looking at a lot.
Is it having an impact on quorum?
No, actually, quorum is the next thing, which is quorum. We sent our letter writing campaign for attendance issues has been very effective. We've actually had very good quorum lately, besides a few stubborn holdouts. But also we changed our schedule, which I've brought up before, which has had great effect in terms of giving members more time to engage with the material before the meeting, so that the meetings are more substantive and less kind of setting a common understanding. So that's been very effective. We're going to consider that same outdoor dining bill potentially at our next state licenses and permits committee, and our task forces for Penn Station and the commercialization of our park usage are kind of still ongoing. So Penn Station will come to us in our next cycle. Parks is a longer task. And then one thing I wanted to raise, just a kind of a question on for everyone here, is at the end of last year, our board, and I think other boards, submitted information related to the Manhattan Plan for housing. And that seems to have disappeared into the ether. And so I don't know if there is updates or directions on where that's going, or even if it would be useful for us as a borough board to have that discussion or pass a resolution moving that forward. But
yeah, it was basic. I mean, you've read it. It really doesn't say much.
Yeah.
And it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
It was kind of a Adams kind of
brainstorming
exercise, very ambitious and necessary. But now it's up to this administration to actually pursue, all or part of it. So I think I spoke to the city planning commissioner, Dan Garodnick, and he said the ball's now passed to the Mondani team as to whether there will be anything to come out of it.
Yeah, so I guess I would say that was sort of our understanding as well. And it's just, we spent time and effort putting information in and, coming up with ideas. And so if it's not the Manhattan Plan, we'd like to see another way that can sort of carry forward.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Sandy.
I just, the bathroom initiative, was there a discussion of what they look like?
No, because we will take it. If it is a bathroom, we will take it and then we will have a discussion. That's a kind of a second order problem of what it looks like. But right now we just do not have the bathrooms. Full stop.
I mean, it's just in our district, they offered up bathrooms, but these are public buildings, so they're going to be around for 100 years. And I understand there's a budget crisis, but they were so ugly. Oh God. It's really an embarrassment for the city of New York. So it's just a word of caution to other boards. And I know we really don't have any say, but it does seem a shame that we're spending this money and it's going to be for something that's.
And they're super expensive.
Yeah, I mean, ours is
pick up on that.
Ours is for pops. It's changing the pops regulations to require those to meet those, which is related but separate from the public bathroom and their ugliness.
The pops are paid.
Thank you, Brad. Moving on to CB4.
Thank you, Marielle. In the interest of time, I'll just limit it to 2 topics, and it will be topics that maybe the borough president of the office can help with. So there'll be some sort of connection here. The first, and you're probably gonna hear me say this every single month, we're going through a NYCHA, Fulton, Elliott, Chelsea redevelopment. It's 2 campuses. And why this might be pertinent to the rest of you guys is because it's a rad pack transformation. So we're going from section 9 to section 8, and there is demolition involved. So it is highly, highly charged. The borough president is very involved and knows from his Senate days, a lot of the conversation around this. It has been our toughest conversation, and it's been going on. So I'll be here probably every month talking about a new issue with it, but as we go on to what I want to talk about with the borough president, and I wrote an email to Jonah. He was on this recent email that there has been found, we think there's a soil contamination. The reason why I say we think is because there have been 2 applications for brownfield cleanups from the developer. And we asked for a presentation by the developer, and they said they wouldn't present to us. So then we emailed the electeds and said, hey, can you either push the developer, push DEC, just so we know, because there is with a brownfield cleanup, and we have 2, evidently. There is public.
I look at how many, I don't even have the space for you.
I know, sorry.
That's okay.
There is public comment, and there's a public comment period on something as severe as this, but unfortunately, what can we comment on if we don't have a presentation and they're not sharing information with us?
So you need a presentation on potential.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the first application, the public comment is due this Tuesday, so we obviously won't make that, but we will have a letter that says, give us a presentation for the next one, which thankfully DEC just yesterday gave us an extension. I think it's March 29th. So we do have a month, so we can play with that if that's okay. And the reason why I'm highlighting this is because, again, another wrinkle with this redevelopment, NYCHA redevelopment, is there's a Title I school that's on this property. And you guys know, this is the lowest income families, and true to form, they're not getting information. True to form, they're the ones that are getting screwed. I don't want to go on, but we're trying to advocate the best we can. And so your help, we'll talk about maybe that step on this specific thing. The second thing is really, not really run of the mill, ULURP, but we have a ULURP in the northwest part of the district. It's 2 towers. They're separated by a block, so it's a little unique. But another part of the uniqueness is that the builder has purchased development rights from Hudson River Park Trust. So that touches maybe upon it'll touch upon a few other, maybe CB1 as well, because the Hudson River Park development rights is in there. And we are trying to push Hudson River Park Trust and the state to value their rights more. I think the lowest level was $200 a square, which is insane. We're trying to know their value and have the developer pay a little more, but you'll be involved in that ULIP as well, Borough President. And Gail, I don't know if Gail's still on, she's probably not, but it's her segment of the district, which is very small. But I think in my tenure so far as chair, I really want to start implementing automatic CBA discussions, community benefit agreements with these developers, saying if you're going to develop, you're not just impacting the footprint, but you're impacting the neighborhood around you, especially when you're injecting all of these people. Give us some money for the park right across the street. We need a public bathroom. Give us some money for just upkeep of the sidewalks across the street. And I'm trying really hard to kind of inject that in every ULURP discussion. So anyway, that's another thing that the borough president maybe, because it's going to come to you, I think, next week or it'll come to you soon.
Yeah, our team's
the clock is ticking. So the ULURP for DeWitt Clinton. Yeah. We're looking at CBA. We'll talk about the CBAs, and also, of course, we're negotiating with them 2 things, which is everyone's doing: up the affordability units, and thing that's close to me is family size units for affordable. We're not getting any of those anywhere, and we need family size units. So again, we'll have a conversation, but I'll limit it to those two, and that's something you guys can help us with, maybe.
Great, no, thank you.
Okay,
Chair.
thank you.
The other, so just really quick, maybe worth talking to CB9. They've done a lot of work on community benefits agreements.
Okay,
So reaching out to Victor and, maybe there's some best practices there.
that'll be great.
The other thing, again, there was an email that I sent this morning. You can send in your written reports as well, to make sure all of your points are reflected in the minutes. So, okay, over on to CB3. Again, if you can all please try to keep your remarks to 2 to 3 minutes.
Hi, Andrea here. Apologies, I'm not there. There was some kind of miscommunication and I never received a notice that there was a borough board happening today. So I'm online, but here to give a very brief report. I'll just.
Do we have a borough board calendar for the next?
Yes, all the dates are on our website and that was circulated.
Okay,
It could be our email might have gone to spam.
That's what I thought, but normally I get a email confirmation and sometimes the date changes. It's always for me in my calendar, it's always the 3rd Thursday of the month, but if I don't receive a notice, sometimes.
We'll make sure that doesn't happen again. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, sorry about that. So I'll keep it really brief. One matter that is of kind of citywide concern, and a number of you all have heard me talk about this number over the years, but it relates to Essex Market, which is one of the most significantly owned public markets and a central component of the Essex Crossing redevelopment, which was part of the ULURP action initiated by CB3 back in 2012. We have, it opened back in 2019, and more recently, they have been experiencing some challenges around governance and operational accountability. So we've been meeting with the bid, who has a agreement with the developer and with EDC to kind of understand these concerns. We're going to meet with EDC and with a number of stakeholders. We've been hearing these issues at our land use committee, and we came together to propose adjustments to the management framework and establish something that's more transparent and community informed. And so we will be voting on that and considering it at full board next week. It's a very important issue, so I imagine it will involve some discussion, but I just wanted to make you all aware of that. And if it passes, obviously we will continue to engage this proposal with particularly EDC, City Hall, but also our local elected partners to see if we can come to some kind of solution. And then lastly, we are also have an ongoing project we're working on. We're trying to use some kind of widget to better search for our resolution. So if anyone has any vendors or anything like that, that you've really enjoyed working with, I'd really appreciate it. And that's it.
Great, thank you, and thank you for having me on that Essex Market walkthrough.
Oh, thank you for joining. I really appreciate you being there.
By the way, has anyone lost a ring?
Yeah,
Was that in the bathroom?
What's that?
Was that in the restroom?
I don't know.
It was in the restroom.
Is it yours?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Check it.
It's beautiful.
Reunion.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm ready. Okay, great.
Very good taste.
Yeah.
I was gonna go.
Okay.
We were looking at it.
Great, thank you. Hi, Valerie De La Rosa, CB2, Pride Flag at Stonewall, read the headlines, Discovery. Thank you for your support on that, of course. The discovery of a passageway to the Underground Railroad inside a drawer in the Merchant's House, a museum, if you guys don't know, in an 1832 row house on East 4th Street. Goes right into land use and landmarks. As of right developments are continuing to be the only, for as of right developments, the only formal venue with City of Yes and Soho NoHo having been enacted is for feedback is our landmarks committee. And to the community, a project is a project is a project. And so we really are trying to have all of that happen in one meeting and not bifurcate their support into two separate And this is sometimes a challenge personnel wise, into what the mandate of a committee is. But we are working through that. Land use, yes, I love the idea of more funding for consultants, but I also believe it's important for us to motivate and train board members on that skill set. It starts to become a lean back committee of this very luxurious consultants sending us all these documents to read. And it is our largest committee. So I'm going to do an audit of our land use consulting services over the past 6 fiscal years to understand impact and do a spend by committee member analysis, as well as the impact of how those all went, those different engagements in terms of what happened legislative wise. Outdoor dining, the rules as is protect our neighborhoods. The magic of this program is compliance at the start of the application program. Enforcement was never an issue in the pre-pandemic sidewalk program. And this is coming from the board that has 30% of these in Manhattan, out of all of them in Manhattan, and 20% of all across all five boroughs. Board development, we have 3 new vacancies since we last met, and brings our total to 6. We are in talks with the New York Peace Institute. Thank you, Marielle and John, regarding conflict resolution training for our executive committee. Our guiding point is stewardship and not ownership. The strongest boards are built when experienced leaders support continuity beyond themselves, because the institution must always come before an individual position. And so we have changes being made that are not performance driven, but are forward looking at the board for the next 5 to 10 years, and structuring of our different committees. And so that's what's keeping us busy. Thanks.
Thank you, thank you. A lot happening. Steve, you want?
Quick, Alice Blank, Vice Chair. Tammy wanted me to share 3 resolutions. We have many. One in support of a pilot program conducted by EDC in partnership with Skyport to extend operating hours of the downtown Manhattan heliport, with the goal of shifting the demand from New Jersey, which has no regulation, into Manhattan, which has more regulations, so there'd be less noise. 2, Governor and Mayor writing them.
You want to shift it from New Jersey to New York?
That's right, because in New Jersey, there is no regulation to the amount of time they can be whirling around, whereas here there is. So the idea is that this is a pilot that would allow for potential reduction. It's kind of I didn't vote for it. I'm with you. Yeah. But anyway, that's, yeah.
That sounds.
Exactly, and we all picked up on it, and we approved a very short 3-month pilot. The resolution requesting that the governor and mayor work with the MTA to fix up the very important Fulton Street subway stop, which is the 5th busiest in New York City. Over 3,000 people a day go there, and of course with FIFA and the 250 sale, this will be a critical element in our city, and it's in terrible shape. 3rd was to help PS 150, one of our important downtown schools at Trinity Place, with an open street, and because kids can't get into the school safely, and a crossing guard, which has been in the plans and in the works for the 10 years I've been on this board. Neighborhood news, emergency code blue orders expedited the opening of the Pearl Street safe haven, and this is a homeless shelter, which remains a neighborhood concern, somewhat understandably, because it's 5 feet away from Peck Slip Elementary School, serving 1st to 6th graders, a big problem in certain ways. And so we're working with Councilmember Marte and hopefully other electeds to try to consider a different population, families, women, rather than what is being proposed. The Downtown Alliance, on the good end of news here, this is our FIDI neighborhood bid, has launched a program cleverly called Restore, which is allowing for 3 months free rental at the storefronts of Lower Manhattan, with a $15,000 stipend for build out. Quite nice, right? Good news. So just going forward, I have an opportunity here. 5i Seaport plan. This is approximately at least 10 acres of new land on the Lower Manhattan east side waterfront, which most people aren't paying attention to. It's one of the most important developments the city has seen. And yet this is a resiliency plan, yet no one pays much attention. So as much as you can spread the word to get people at an upcoming meeting this very Monday at my committee, the environmental protection, is great. We could use the support, because what happens is no one knows about it. And we're trying very hard.
Landfill project?
Exactly.
Is this the Seaport City project?
From yesterday.
Dates back to
Exactly.
Mike Bloomberg.
Exactly.
And what's your general sense of the community's opinion?
The suspect, but now that they've taken out the Seaport City plans where there is no construction, there is no housing, no residents, it's part of this plan, it's simply resiliency. people are a little bit more, you know, sort of accepting. The biggest problem is that it's an opportunity to get a park, open green space in an area that is transforming itself into a residential bedroom community. I mean, it will have to rename Fidei because there's no financial district left. It's essentially residential. So what's happening is where do people play? You know, and so they're building a new park, but it's tiny and narrow and there really isn't enough recreation. And that is not the fault of EDC running this program, but it's really, you know, there's regulations, Army Corps, you can't build out, you know, without something.
So we need to dive into that with you. I'm
Oh,
gonna take a quick selfie of all of us just so I can.
Right. So, wait a minute, I got it. Yeah, go ahead. I got one. Do it.
Oh, let's see.
I got an ask for you, Rick. I just want to say that, you know, we have huge problems with all the luxury development. So many developers have waited until after City of Yes, so they could use every loophole that's in that program to build bigger. And it's an extraordinary thing we're seeing right now in Board One. The idea of a public amenity fund or something has got to be instituted. There has to be some quid pro quo. I know I'm not supposed to say that. Some sort of give back, some sort of, no, I agree, but some sort of understanding of a public relationship to what this development is. And we have zero affordability in these developments. And of course, we have 100 old city-owned property. What will become of that? These are all huge issues. The jail at $3.8 billion. But to you, I ask, as you start to appoint these new members on the board, please, architects, planners, landscape architects, people that understand the physical reality of the city would be so helpful. And also people that you can assure will commit to the hours that are needed. I think the biggest problem here is that, you know, when Gail was the borough president, she used to send letters. If you missed one meeting, you got a letter. And there was some sense of accountability. I find that at least on our board, there's zero accountability. People don't show up, big deal. There's no work getting done. And you cannot operate effectively without people showing up.
To systemize our response to attendance, we do need to talk about, I think in each of your bylaws, you have attendance requirements, right? So you should be acting on that, but I'm your backup guy. Mariel and I and Nisha, if you want letters sent out, if you want warnings issued,
And
let it be.
Pretty effective.
Yeah, usually the board chair will send out one ahead of time. If they're running up against.
You need a heavy.
Yeah.
Threshold,
That's
right?
how we've
Yeah.
done it.
Yeah.
And we've had that discussion.
I wanted to recognize our former council member, Rosie Mendez. Thank you for coming, Rosie.
Thank you. Wonderful. So that is the end of our chair reports. Thank you all.
I have to duck out to a meeting right now, but thank you for being here. See you next month.
And before we officially adjourn the meeting, just a reminder that our next meeting, it's also on the website, it's March 19th. At 8:30 a.m. and we will send out reminders to make sure that everyone has that. And we'll also have our public hearing as well. As you know, part of our borough board, our city charter mandates that we do have to host a public hearing. So that will be part of the March meeting on March 19th. So more information on that. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting? Okay, second, and that's 10:36 a.m. Thank you.
Bravo. Everybody.
Thanks.